So we're going to be talking about the Foundation for Interdisciplinary Team Learning. So I think it follows from the last presentation actually quite well, because this is one of the strategies that can be used to motivate and to stimulate students. We're going to try and get through this really quickly so everybody has a chance to talk. We'll talk about the opportunities and challenge, our model, our foundation for communication, and then the results. One of our students in 2019 said true growth lies in the interaction with each other, as we truly neither understood each other's culture and blindly conversed without any idea of social or verbal clues. We impacted each other in ways that reached far beyond the material realm, which led me to my conclusion. The more we can learn from and teach each other, the more we can understand why we do what we do, rather than just the basic understanding. The more we can become unified, a unified front against global issues. So Dr. Songer and I, for 6 years at Boise State University, taught what we called a global citizenship and social responsibility class. Both of us taught the class, which was a semester long, with 6 weeks of class, 3-hour class time at the beginning of the semester, a 10-day service trip, and then reflection and subsequent summary class time, I would say, when we returned from the trip. Over 6 years, we had 67 students participate, and they were from engineering, nursing, psychology, philosophy, social work, education, business, supply chain management, anthropology, general studies, and even a graduate student 1 year joined us. We encouraged all of the students, no matter what their discipline, and by the way, I'm a nursing professor, but no matter what their discipline, to use their personal strengths and their disciplinary strengths to complete the projects that we did. We partnered with an organization called Peacework, and Peacework helped us to develop a very strong relationship with a school in the northern portion of Belize. Peacework has on-the-ground representatives always working with the Ministry of Education, which we found in that country is a very useful and important way to connect with the education sector. The class focus was preparing the students to study abroad and to work in a different culture, and then to partner with the local school in Belize that we partnered with to perform projects that the school wanted, infrastructure projects, and Dr. Songer and most of the engineering students took turns leading those projects. And then we created a healthy lifestyles day camp for the children while we were down there. So we challenged the students to learn a culture through service. We challenged them to take the hardest class that they would ever end up loving. And one of the students said that this was her favorite class at Boise State University. And that is one of my nursing students in one of our very first trips, showing the little ones at the school we worked with what a stethoscope is. So it was pretty fun. What we didn't know as we got started in all of this is what could possibly go wrong. And we found out just about everything could possibly go wrong. We had limited resources, limited times. We were on a very tight budget, and we were working in a country which most of the students in Idaho had never experienced before, which was 100-degree weather with 70% humidity. Idaho is, if you are not familiar with the United States, is a small state up in the northwest portion of the country. We also learned our disciplines speak different languages. Our students don't know the same things. Our students are learning different things, and they have different values and work ethics. There are both conscious and unconscious biases about the work between our students, and we are all different people. So how can we bring this together? Well, Dr. Songer and I created this 360-degree global education model, and we published previously about this, but it includes a base of a constructivist approach, global experiential learning, an interdisciplinary classroom, transformational leadership, a transformative interdisciplinary environment built with a knowledge and comprehension and awareness of what we were doing in our classroom and in the interdisciplinary international service learning experience, followed on by reflection and responsibility. Our outcomes were both internal and external, and our goal is to create social, responsible global citizens. In building this model, we found these 5 elements that created a successful interdisciplinary team. We've read a lot about team learning foundations, and we found that at high levels, you need to have conversations about philosophy and about the differences in the foundation of your discipline. But at the undergraduate level, we realized we need some basic elements, and these included shared ethics and standards, cultural intelligence, servant leadership, a teaming approach, which the one we used was called the collaborative way, interdisciplinary team understandings, and team conflict management. So let's talk about cultural intelligence. Cultural intelligence is a concept developed by David Livermore. And we really wanted to create a safe space for our class to not only learn about the Belizean culture, but our interdisciplinary cultures. To learn about the Belizean culture, we had them do presentations on everything from food and language, the history and values of Belizeans, to what does their business sectors look like? What about their education sector and their healthcare sector? What is similar, and even politics came into play from time to time. But what is similar and what is different? In terms of learning about the interdisciplinary cultures, we had them do all the projects together where they had no choice but to learn. We also helped them to recognize their own culture in terms of what their discipline was, and then provided plenty of space for them to reflect on what they were learning. Dr. Livermore and Suang and Lynn Van Dyne define cultural intelligence as the capability to function effectively across various cultural contexts, whether they're national, ethnic, organizational, generational, or something else. I ask students questions every week called the CQ question of the day. And this is an example of one of the slides and questions we would ask. If your cook's crayfish and it's put in front of you on the table like this, how would you respond? And it's just a little emotional response to say, oh my, that's a picture I took one morning as we were just out touring the town we were in. We taught them to compare key cultural values, such as direct versus indirect communication, or is it an individualistic society or collectivist society? That's an easy one to understand because Americans tend to be more individualistic and Belizeans are complete opposite, which was great for our students to experience. So we use the cultural value dimensions. This is just a modified list here, and showed them examples and showed them where we may be similar and we might be different. We challenged them to demonstrate servant leadership. Servant leadership includes cultural humility and the ability to maintain an interpersonal stance that the other is important and relation to the aspects of cultural identity that are most important to the other person. So for example, the idea of collectivism in Belize is very important. And we taught our students to respect that and then reflect on what they might do differently to learn from and get along from these people that had some very different core values. And when we talk about core values, these are things that often are below the surface that we often don't know as we are working across cultures. These are just the characteristics of some of the servant leader characteristics: learning, empathy, healing, awareness, and so on. We taught them the collaborative way, which is a teaming approach. And we learned that in order to function effectively, a team needs to overcome some dysfunctions. And we saw these dysfunctions very early on. These come from Patrick Lencioni. And we have to develop trust, overcome a fear of conflict, commit to excellence, be accountable, and then focus on our collective success. And we did that by using the collaborative way model, which encourages team members to listen to each other, be straight with each other, hold each other accountable, honor their commitments, and acknowledge and appreciate each other. Then we taught them about their personal and interpersonal differences. Some are dominant, some are influencers, some are conscientious, and some are very steady. We also used the Strength Finder assessment by the Gallup Press and had them learn about their top 5 interpersonal strengths. Strengths happen in the domains of executing, so getting things done, influencing, so helping the team reach a broader audience or recruiting students to participate in the class. Relationship building, these people are excellent at holding the team together, and then strategic thinking, so planning, organizing, and we needed all of these strengths. And one of the main things that our students learned by learning about their own strengths, and what we did the first year we did this, is we said, you guys want to share these with each other? And they said yes. So we shared with them each other's strengths, and they were able to then see that maybe that annoying person who was late all the time still had some major strengths and could contribute to the team project by planning and organizing, or by being reflective. So it really brought the team together in ways that we found phenomenal, because instead of complaining about each other, they went from using the strengths-based positive approach to really understanding that everybody who's there, no matter what their discipline, no matter what their personality type, they have the ability to contribute something, and they did. Conflict management is one of the final things that we did. And we asked the students themselves to create a list of what behaviors were acceptable and unacceptable. And this is an example of one of the lists they created. But when you're, again, working in 100-degree heat and you've got little ones, little school children running around all day, and you're supposed to teach them something that you're still trying to master yourself, they were challenged. So they said they can listen, they can ask questions, and especially open-ended questions, be polite, patient, remain open-minded, be straightforward, be honest, disagree respectfully, and stay calm. But these are the things that they absolutely said were unacceptable. And again, this idea of having them create their behaviors that they would tolerate from each other was almost like magic, because after they created this list, they held each other accountable. Of course, there was a basic underlying framework, which was the Boise State University Code of Conduct, and all students were expected to maintain that. It's the same for study abroad students up there as for the students who are living on campus, and that works well. They know it. But did they really learn everything? Well, what we found was we measured cultural intelligence, and the scores improved for individuals between 14 and 23%. And again, the overall class score between 2016 and 17 improved 14 to 23%. The individual scores 4 to 47% improvement. Attitudes toward teamwork improved by 13%, and their individual scores ranged from about 1 to 31%. So some had a lot of experience with good teamwork, others had a lot of improvement measured. We also did things that improved our partners' living situation. So the first year we were asked to renovate a garden, and this is what it looked like when we started. And I can tell you the team leader on that, the expression on his face was overwhelmed when we got there. But a few years later, the school was keeping and maintaining the garden, and the children were able to grow vegetables and take them home. We built a chicken coop in 2014. Is that right, Dr. Songer? And Dr. Songer's team led the construction of what we called an outdoor cantina, or a picnic area where the children could sit under a covered outdoor patio, where they had a place to stay, to eat lunch, and to do projects. We used it also for some of the projects we did when it rained. And so the school had requested that project, and all of the students worked together And you can see some of our student teams were not big. They were 10, 13, 15 students. And these are some of the results. I think pictures speak louder than words, but you can see the children ended up kind of loving our students, and our students ended up falling in love with the children. And the teachers in the school got some badly needed minor projects completed that they wouldn't have been able to do on their own. So again, this is the model that we used: cultural, intelligent, encouraging servant leadership, a lot of work on teaming and collaboration, understanding personal strengths, team conflict management, and then shared ethics and standards. Any questions? Dr. Songer, do you want to add anything?